What a blessing to be able to spend this time on Friday here, the end of this work week. And I trust that you've had a week that you've been encouraged. It may have been a difficult one, but I do encourage you to believe God. Trust His promises. Today I'd like to go to 2 Kings chapter 8. 2 Kings chapter 8. And we find a statement about the son of Jehoshaphat, king of Judah. Jehoshaphat, of course, was a king that loved the Lord, and though he made the mistake of compromising by making affinity with Ahab, he still had many good things about his life. But it was very tragic, the consequences of that compromise, because his son married into that family. And that brought great pain to the nation of Israel. And we read in verse 18, and he walked, speaking of Jehoram, in the way of the kings of Israel, as did the house of Ahab, for the daughter of Ahab was his wife, and he did evil in the sight of the Lord. Well, that's pretty grim, isn't it? But then you just see God's promise here. Verse 19. Yet the Lord would not destroy Judah for David's, his servant's sake, as he had promised him to give him always a light unto his children. David had been given a covenant by Jehovah God, and God keeps his promises. And so in the midst of a very dark day, when you had the very ungodly pagan worship of Jezebel coming into now Judah, the southern kingdom, via the wife Athaliah of the northern kingdom marrying Jehoram, you just think, oh my, God isn't going to put up with this. Well, obviously Judah would suffer, but God was very merciful, and He did not destroy the house of Judah because of His promise to David. And my friends, we've got to understand how long-suffering the Lord is. Now, America definitely needs to be judged. So much of what we're hearing about in the progressive movement, in the moral revolution, are just anti-God all the way around. But God is not willing that any should perish. And when God's people continue to walk with the Lord, they become salt and light in a very ungodly world. And we don't know what's going to happen to our nation, but God will protect us, and God will show great mercy in continuing to honor those that walk with the Lord. And in America, we have enough Christians that if they would get on fire for God, we could see a turning back, at least partially, to the things of God in our nation. The hope is always an outpouring of God's Spirit for many people to be saved, and that's what we need to be praying for God to do. And so this promise here just shows you the heart of God. God was so gracious. He was so long-suffering to Israel and Judah. And when finally they went into captivity, God brought Judah back in just 70 years, and how gracious He was, and how He gave to the Israelites Daniel, and He gave Nehemiah. Just amazing. And the other leaders, Mordecai, these men of God that had great influence. God always protects His people. So let's stay encouraged. Let's believe God and realize He's made promises to the church. We're the pillar and ground of truth. The gates of hell cannot prevail against us, and we can go forward in confidence.